Hey, how you doing? Good? That's awesome to hear. I'm having a good day too. It's a Sunday. Like, you know when you're usually having a Sunday and it's like really unproductive and like, you know, average and you kind of get a little bit of work done but not really? Well, that's not what's happening today. I'm like getting a fair bit of work done. I feel really good. I'm glad we're both having a good day. This is awesome. Anyway. Enough of that jazz. I know you guys didn't come here. You guys came here for the title and we're going to jump straight into it. I'm not going to waste any more time. Today, I'm going to be bringing you my favorite purchases that I've ever made in my entire time as a videographer that are under 150 Australian dollars. For those Americans in the audience, that means it's even cheaper for you because it's US dollars for you guys. So for you Americans, under $100. For us Australians, under $150. So like I said, not going to waste any more time. We're going to jump into the first one, which is something that has single-handedly made my editing so much better, especially for portraits and big wide open landscapes. That is my WACOM tablet, INTUOS tablet. Now this thing, I've used all the editing tools, the ones with the spinny dials and stuff like that. They're all crap. They're all crap. Flat out, they're crap. This thing has changed my life. I wish I could jump into a time machine, go back 2 years and buy this when I first started out, because seriously, at $109, this thing is crazy. Now they do have bigger models, but I'm going to demonstrate in a little bit of B-roll here. I only use a small portion of the tablet. That's because I've got the tablet set up to only use that part of the tablet to move across the entire screen. And that's because, think about it. When you draw, you pick up your, I'm left-handed, sorry, I gotta change the microphone. When you draw, you pick up your hand and you draw a little bit, and then you pick up your hand again and you draw a little bit. You don't move your fingers across the entire page to draw with one big stroke. You pick up your hand and move. Now, yes, if you're nitpicky and whatever, you can spend a couple $100 on a bigger professional tablet, but in my opinion, there is absolutely zero need to spend any more than the base model, and that comes for $109. The second thing on this list is something that has single-handedly saved my ass so many times. It's saved me an absolute fortune, and that is my Polar Pro step-up ring. Now, the one that I own is the 77 to 82 millimeter, and that is because my first lens that I ever bought was my 24 to 70 Mark II 2.8. And that thing has a diameter of 82 millimeters. Now that was fantastic in the beginning. I got myself a UV filter, I got myself a 10-stop ND, I got myself a variable ND filter, I got myself a bunch of other polarizers, and I was like, yes, I'm set. But what happened when I bought my 70 to 200? What happened is I suddenly had a lens that was 77 millimeters in diameter, and the hundreds of dollars that I spent on all my filters was suddenly useless for that lens. So what did I do? I did a little bit of research. Now I have to disclose that Polar Pro sent me this for free, but this thing comes out at $62. Now I have the specific one linked below. And speaking of which, all the things that are going to be on this list today are all linked down below if you want to go and purchase them. But this one is my, like I said, 77 to 82, but I'm going to link a bunch of the very popular options down below that you guys can pick as well. The third thing on this list is something that is a little bit more niche for me, and not so much niche as in videography, but anyone that works at a desk, and that is my table topper stand-up desk. The type of stand-up desk that I wanted to get for me was something cheap, and this thing comes in at $149.99. I wanted something cheap, but I also wanted something that doesn't take up much space. If you can see in the background here, this is my entire apartment. I didn't have much space to go and buy myself a new desk. So what I wanted was something that could go on top of the desk that I already have and is adjustable. And like I said, I'm going to demonstrate this with a little bit of B-roll here. It's completely adjustable and it goes on top of the desk that you already have. And in this case, it actually gives me more space when it's on than if it wasn't on at all. Now for me, as soon as I started working at a desk rather than working as a personal trainer, my knees started to hurt, my neck started to hurt, I started getting more migraines than I normally got, my back started to hurt, I felt weaker, I felt less active, I felt less motivated to go to the gym. I've read 1,000 articles that say, oh, stand-up desk won't make a difference, there's no difference between sitting and standing, but It's bullshit. Honestly, this thing has, my knee pain is gone. If you're the type of person that works from a desk but then likes to go to the gym later in the day, I don't feel like I have to warm up. I feel like I can go straight to the gym. I feel more energetic in the mornings because I'm going straight from laying down to standing up rather than laying down to sitting down. It's amazing. So it might as well be $0, but like I said, it comes in at $150. So one of the higher options on this list, but I cannot recommend it enough. Fourth thing on this list is this little guy. Now this thing I've got a little story for this thing. This thing has saved my ass and saved me a couple grand. So I was shooting a wedding, and like I said, this thing goes for $8.99 or $9, and you can get this at any local camera store you can find. Just head to the closest one to you and find it. But if you're feeling lazy and you want to buy it online, I've got it linked down below as well. Now this thing, I was shooting a wedding and it was about half an hour until the ceremony started, and I decided to dump my footage and head inside and have a little bit of a review of what was going on, and I realized a ginormous speck of dust smack bang in the middle of my sensor. Now, I had 2 cameras on this job, which is always a good idea when you're shooting a wedding, but my second camera was going to be occupied for the ceremony. I didn't have a backup camera, it was doing nothing. I needed to have one camera stationary, capturing the whole ceremony. I needed to be running and gunning with the camera that had the spotty sensor. So I freaked out. I panicked. I was like, I don't have a sensor cleaning kit. I'm not gonna get in there with a cloth and try and brush it off myself. Rummaging around in my bag, trying to figure out what I could use, and all of a sudden I realized I had this. I tipped my camera upside down, took the lens off, gave it 2 pumps, and checked the camera, and the dust was gone. Thankfully, in that situation, it was a piece of dust that was easily dislodged by this little guy, but if I didn't have this, I probably would have had to have a very awkward conversation with the bride and groom about why their video looks like shit and they paid me thousands of dollars for it. So this for $9 has already made me thousands. So go out right now. Literally pause the video right now. Pause it right now. I mean it. Pause it. Hit pause after I say this. So pause it, go out, buy this, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. You won't be sorry for it. The next thing on this list is probably one of my most important purchases that I ever made. And that is this little guy. Now, if I step back here, look at the size of that thing. It's barely bigger than my head. Now, to put into context, when I was using this before I upgraded to my Ronin S, I owned a 1DX Mark II. So I had a 1DX Mark II and a 24-70 balanced on this tiny little thing. Now, it's not the best option, but coming in at $99 for stable footage. Now, I get questions all the bloody time on Instagram of people being like, how do you stabilize your footage? Do you shoot handheld? Do you do this? Do you do that? That was the first thing I ever bought, and it made such a huge difference. I'm gonna chuck a couple of videos up here, or I'm gonna link them down below, all the videos that I shot using that there, and you'll be able to see how stable the footage actually looks. Now, obviously there's a learning curve, but that's like any glide cam. I've used the HD 4000 and I've used that, and both were just as difficult to learn how to use in the beginning. So I could not recommend that enough. And it's always a good thing to learn how to use. A glide cam, I know you can just buy, handheld gimbals these days for a couple $100, but I highly recommend at some point, learn how to use a glide cam. It'll be a valuable thing that you'll have in your arsenal of things that you're capable of doing. There are definitely situations where I would rather use a glide cam than a gimbal. So now the second last thing on this list is my variable ND filter. Now, if you follow Peter McKinnon and Matty Hapoya, those guys live and die by the variable ND filter, and I have to say I very much agree with them. Now, being a wedding shooter and a sports shooter, a lot of the time I'm not shooting in the most ideal lighting conditions. If you're shooting mostly at sunrise and sunset, you're probably not going to need something like this. Maybe in some situations, if you're shooting near the coast, then you will, but in situations where you're not, then you're going to need one of these. And the way this works is it screws straight onto your lens, and all you have to do to change your exposure is twist and twist again. And what that means is you can stop down all the way to, if I'm using my 85, 1.4, and still keep your exposure at double your frame rate. So that's a fantastic way to up your professional quality, make your videos look a lot nicer than they would if you were just cranking your exposure. And then, like I said, pair these two bad boys together and you only need to buy one of these. So I've got 3 different types of lenses, so 3 different variations of the diameter of your lens, and I only have one variable ND, and that's because I throw this onto the lens before I throw this on, and then I just swap this all day, so it's as easy as that. And the last thing on my list is the microphone that I'm using to make this video. That is the Rode NTUSB. Now this thing comes out at $199.95 Australian dollars, so it's a little bit more expensive than the threshold we'd set, but I highly recommend it. We'll call it a bonus tip for this end of this video because it doesn't fall under the bracket that the title has set. But if you want to up your production game, if you want to go from amateur to professional very quickly, having very good audio is massively important, and getting good audio is often dependent on having a decent microphone. Now you can spend a lot of money on a microphone. You can end up spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a microphone, but for the quality that you get, for the cost that you're paying, $199 is huge for this. This has seriously made such a difference to my voiceovers, to my YouTube video audio, to just audio that I'm using for if I want to record. There has been times where I've gotten in close and recorded shutters on this thing. I've recorded a few sound effects. I've recorded random things around to put it as ambience in my videos. This thing has seriously made life so easy, and it's called the NTUSB because it plugs straight into your USB port. You can use it straight into your computer. You can record it straight into Premiere Pro. You don't need to go out and buy yourself a Focusrite or anything that's going to be able to record. All you need to do is plug it straight into your computer and you're good to go. So I highly recommend going out and getting yourself an NTUSB if you're wanting to up your production quality and improve your audio. So that has been my favorite photography and videography purchases under 150 Australian dollars. If you want to go and snag yourself any of these items, every single one is linked down below. But like I said, with the jet blower, you can probably head to your local camera store and pick up any of these items. But if you're feeling very generous, I would really appreciate it if you could use the links in the description, because I will get a tiny little kickback. So I would, if you're feeling generous and if you want to support me and if you've enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could go use those links and pick yourself up some of these items, because they have made such a difference for such a cheap cost for my editing, production, and anything else to do with videography. So if you've enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed any of the videos that I've been putting out recently, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. But as always, it's entirely up to you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.